Snap, Pennington into the end zone. He caught it. Touchdown. 2-point conversion.
That's a heck of a 2-point conversion.
Welcome into another episode of This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson. Fresh off a last-minute victory, NAU moved up one spot in the polls to number 17. They returned home to Flagstaff this week to host 19th-ranked Incarnate Word in our Game of the Week. The Jacks have won 8 straight in the walk-up Skydome. Can they make it 9? Who better to ask than head coach Brian Wright? Coach, your Lumberjacks pulled off an exciting come-from-behind win last Saturday. What did that game teach you about your team's identity?
I think it just reaffirmed the, resiliency of our team. We talk about having a spot the ball mentality, regardless of the last play. We got to have the right mindset for the next one. And our guys showed that throughout.
Speaking of mindset, I've heard from some people that you had planned on going for 2 the second that last drive started. What was your mindset heading into that final drive of the game?
Yeah, to have the opportunity to end it right there. We had lost momentum really prior to that drive and given up a series of scores on defense. And so I thought, if we have the opportunity here at the end, we're going to go for 2 and win it there. And hopefully we can do that without giving them much time left to have any, opportunity at the offensive end. And we were able to do that. We put together a really good drive there, chewed up most of that clock. Our guys executed really well. And, they know we have the confidence in them to make those plays. And so we told them at the beginning of that series, we're going to go for 2 to win.
You had been practicing that 2-point play all week. What's it like as a coach watching your players successfully convert on a play that you have been working on?
Certainly a lot of satisfaction with that. Our offensive staff does a great job in design, and one of our young coaches actually helped us design that play to really set it up how it was there. It's a similar play to what we run before, but that exact design was really given to us by one of our young coaches. So that was fun to see as well. He shared his thought. We liked it. We practiced it all week. And then, the guys went out and executed it.
Ty Pennington, of course, offensive player of the week this week for the Big Sky, had a career high 366 yards, accounted for 4 total touchdowns for the Jacks. You've been with him his entire career. Where is the ceiling for Ty?
It's really high. And I think he has so much more to go to get there. And he just continues to show his resiliency, his toughness, his competitive nature, and his growth within our offense. He continues to grow, understanding what we want to do. He continues to grow, understanding how defenses want to defend us and what the answers are to go after that. And I think his ceiling's really high.
Looking ahead to your matchup this week, hosting 19th ranked Incarnate Word. Coach, they are averaging 281 yards in the air, only 60 on the ground. What's the key to sort of exploiting their pass game and forcing them to try to run the ball on you?
Anytime that you can make a team one-dimensional on offense, it certainly helps you. But we always try to stop the run first. And I know they'll still try to run the football. They do a good job of spreading it out. They ran the football really successfully against us last year. And so we have to do a better job there of stopping that and working to keep him one-dimensional, put some heat on the quarterback so he doesn't have all day to throw it back there.
What challenges do the Cardinals present defensively for you?
I think size and speed and strength. They're a big defense. They'll be the biggest group that we've seen since we played Arizona State. They run well. They're very physical. And they're really good at doing what they do. They don't present a whole bunch until you get into situational football. And like I said, just very aggressive, and they get to play fast because they know what to do defensively. So We got to have a really good plan, and we got to be able to execute and really match that speed and that physicality.
How do you coach your players to match that speed and physicality?
We have to do it throughout the week. On Tuesday and Wednesday, especially, those are your more physical days of preparation throughout the week. And so we have to have physical, fast practices throughout the week. And so we've worked really hard to do that every week. And each week we talk about how can we get better at that? What are things we can do to add to that? Obviously we don't go live in practice, but we want it to be physical. And so how do we make the one-on-one or the smaller group drills really match that intensity? And that's what we focused on.
A career best performance from Ty Pennington helped secure the Jacks' comeback and Pennington Offensive Player of the Week honors. Hear from the quarterback next. Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson. NAU quarterback Ty Pennington threw for a career-best 366 yards, accounted for 4 total touchdowns, plus connected with his receiver for the go-ahead 2-point conversion with 29 seconds left, securing both the Jacks win and Offensive Player of the Week honors. He joins me now. Ty, exciting win last Saturday, a come-from-behind victory for the Lumberjacks. What did you learn about your team in that game?
Yeah, I think we learned, a lot about our team. Just the fight and the resiliency of this group. There was plenty of times in that game where we could have laid down, could have taken the foot off the gas, but we didn't. We kept fighting, and it paid off in the end.
You personally had a career best 366 yards, accounted for 4 total touchdowns. What allowed you to have that kind of success?
Yeah, well, first, obviously, you got to have the protection part of it. So big shout out to the guys up front, for allowing me the time to get it to the receivers. And then, just got a bunch of playmakers on the offensive side. Just throw it up and let them make plays. The final piece, Coach Wright, and the offensive staff just putting together a great game plan, for me and my teammates to go out there and show them what we have.
On that final game-winning drive, you converted 2 fourth downs. Why were you able to keep extending that drive?
Yeah, it was just came down to taking the next play one play at a time. We were in a big 2nd and 22 there at the end also. So we had that and then those 2 fourth downs, and it's just putting all your focus and attention on that one play, whatever play it is, no matter the down and distance or whatever. Putting all your focus and attention on that and executing the play the best way you can.
Before that final drive, Coach Wright said, if we score a touchdown, we are going for 2. What was your reaction when Coach made that decision before you even found the end zone?
Yeah, I was all for it. Going in a hostile environment on the road and just having that faith in the offense to win the game for you, it was just an incredible moment. Everyone was super excited, and I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
How does that make you feel as a competitor that your coach has that much confidence in you and the rest of the offense?
It makes you feel pretty good about yourself, about the things you've done that led up to that point. He had, obviously trust in us. We had trust in him with the play call. We've been repping that play call all week up until that point. So just to see that part of it come alive, that was really cool to see.
How often are you in situations like that where you're practicing the play all week and you actually get to apply it in a crucial moment in the game?
Yeah, I would say, situational plays like that, you don't really get to run them that often. So to have the chance to finally be able to do that, we had maybe a couple last year, but, the chance always isn't there to, put those plays into actual use that you've been working throughout the week. So to finally, put that play in and execute it like how it was supposed to be, that was really cool.
You, of course, were named Offensive Player of the Week for your performance. And after that game, teammate Colby Katzis said, you're the toughest man he's ever seen. Where does your toughness come from?
Really the people around me. It's just rooted in our brotherhood, and rooted in the connections I have, with everyone on this team. I'm going to do whatever I can to help my team succeed. And, if that means getting a little banged up and having to play through it, then so be it. On to the next play.
Looking ahead to Saturday, you return to the Sky Dome to host 19th ranked Incarnate Word in a top 25 matchup. What are the things you're looking to improve upon from week 3 to week 4?
Keep attacking. Whatever the score is, whatever the situation is. Last 2 weeks we've had multiple touchdown leads, and we haven't really been able to capitalize on them. So if we're in that position again, I'd like to see our team stack on top of that even more, and respond to adversity a little bit better.
8 straight wins at the Sky Dome. What makes it such a difficult environment for opponents?
Obvious answer is the elevation. It's not easy to come up here at 7,000 feet and play. And also the environment that our fans create. It gets pretty loud in that dome. It gets hard to hear. The lights start flashing and all that. So, you combine those two things, it's a pretty tough place to play.
Still to come, JT Reed's inspiring journey from San Jose to Bozeman. Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson. When I asked JT Reed what's been the hardest part of his college football journey, he told me it's been being away from his family. A first-generation college student and the oldest of 8, Reed grew up in San Jose, California, before heading to Montana State for a college football career that was almost over before it even began. 6 years, 2 transfers, and 1 degree later, and the NorCal kid now calls Bozeman his home.
I've definitely had 2 different lives as a college football player. I came in as a young, dumb freshman and made some mistakes along the way and had to go back home to JUCO, and then came back. And coming from how I started and the way I'm expecting to finish it it's been a crazy ride for sure.
That crazy ride began in 2020. JT Reed spent his freshman season at Montana State before deciding to return home to Northern California and enroll at the College of San Mateo.
I needed to grow up a little bit. I definitely was on a high horse. Coming from where I come from, I was like, I'm the meal ticket. I'm the biggest thing out of San Jose right now, and I felt like I had the world in my hands, and I wasn't grateful enough for the opportunity that I had.
Junior college can be a lot of things, but he made the most of it, and going back home was positive for him.
I got humbled the most, probably. That was probably the biggest lesson I learned. When I was at CSM, I had a full-time job, worked at Chick-fil-A, and you go from Chick-fil-A to playing JUCO football, it kind of feels like it's pointless. It really brought me back down to earth and realized that, I'm the same as everybody else on this planet. I just happen to play football.
While at the College of San Mateo, Reed kept in touch with then Bobcats offensive line coach Brian Armstrong. That connection would bring him back to Bozeman.
Obviously I didn't recruit him in the first place, but Brian Armstrong, our offensive line coach, had. I really listened to Brian as far as what he saw in JT as a player and as a person.
The whole time I was at CSM, we kept talking and kept recruiting me. Coach Vegan opened the doors again, and ended up back there.
I know we had teammates, former teammates, I guess, that were part of that process as well, and I know it was a key thing for us to get him back, and we're very fortunate we did.
Back on the Bobcats roster, Reed's impact was immediately felt, earning a starting spot and becoming one of the founding members of the Don Joy Mafia.
Don Joy Mafia is the original group of O-linemen that was doubted, and we were undersized and weren't supposed to do anything in 2022, and we were, I think, second in the country in rushing that year.
We've been successful because of that group, first and foremost. It's been a revolving door, but the standard hasn't changed, and I think that's a credit to those guys before them. So JT is that last piece to the forming members, I guess, of that, when they tab themselves that.
What are the characteristics of someone in the Don Joy Mafia?
There's brotherhood, because we're unconditionally a brotherhood. There's unconditional love no matter what. Protect the family, on the field, off the field, wherever you may be. There's fearless, we ain't scared of nothing, toughness, and relentless.
His relentlessness carried into the classroom. Already the first member of his family to graduate high school, in May, Reed became the first member of his family to receive his college degree.
At the time, I wasn't trying to make it a bigger deal than I thought it was. Looking back on it now, it was a big deal for me.
I think he's a good case of a young man that goes to college because he can play football, but then along the way he realizes how important that degree will become to him. He's accomplished a lot in the field, but I think getting that degree was every bit the same as far as the pride that it brought him, and then understanding what it would mean for his future.
a future that will most definitely include Bozeman.
Everything I do revolves around Bozeman. I don't plan on going back to California. Life in Bozeman is nice. Life outside of the city is nice. So, Bozeman means everything to me. I don't plan on leaving Bozeman anytime soon.
He's beyond grateful for his opportunity, and obviously we're beyond grateful that he's spent his time at MSU and he's had, he's gone through the ups and downs like you should in life, and he's certainly on the other side of that and reaping the benefits.
We'll be back with more This Week in Big Sky Football after this. Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson, joined now by the voice of the Lumberjacks, Mitch Stroman. Mitch, you're going to pick games first. You were at that exciting game last Saturday, that comeback win by the Jacks. You've covered this team for a long time. How was this Lumberjack squad in 2025 different from years past?
Head coach Brian Wright, his staff, and how they have fundamentally changed the operational paradigm of this football team from the ground floor up. Brian Wright is a guy that has coached at the highest levels. He's coached at the FBS, Group of 5 level, Division II success, and he brought in with his coaching staff, and the coaching staff was the only coaching staff, by the way, in the Big Sky Conference that was retained 100% from last season. They have really instilled a professional work ethic in this team and a never say die attitude that clearly was the reason why they got that win at a very, very tough Southern Utah team on Saturday.
Mitch, you're talking about Coach Wright. After their season opening game against Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham said that he was out-coached by Brian Wright in that matchup, even though the Sun Devils won. Where have you seen the biggest shift in this program under Coach Wright's tenure?
Resiliency and professionalism, Megan. It's striking to see the difference in this program from pre-Brian Wright to now Brian Wright year 2. And structurally and fundamentally, Megan, you have this no change really from year 1 to year 2 in terms of how the program is designed to function on a day-to-day basis. And that has, I think, given these players an enormous amount of trust in their coaches and in Brian Wright. And it gives the coaches, I think, trust in the players as well, because a lot of the players stuck around.
Mitch, we will save your NAU game pick for last, as they are our game of the week. But let's get into picks right now. Cal Poly coming off a 56-7 win over Western Oregon. Michael Briscoe, massive 4-touchdown game. They face Stephen F. Austin this week. Who do you like in this one?
This is a pretty good matchup, but it's on the road for Cal Poly against a really, really good, curiously enough, Lumberjacks team. I think Stephen F. Austin's going to be a tough out on their home field, so I'm going to give the edge to SFA in that way.
Moving on to our next game, Sac State. They recorded their first win in the Brennan Marion era on Saturday. They host Central Arkansas. Can the Hornets make it 2 in a row?
Yes, I think so. The Hornets are ranked number 22 in the country this week in the coaches poll. I think that is well deserved. But I think we are seeing the Hornets being what we thought prior to the season the Hornets were going to be, a very, very difficult team to beat. And at Hornet Stadium, no, I'm going Sac State, number 22 Hornets get the win at home in a big non-conference game.
Finally, our game of the week, another top 25 matchup featuring the Big Sky. 17th ranked NAU hosting 19th ranked Incarnate Word. The Lumberjacks have won 8 straight in the walk-up Sky Dome. Will they make it 9 this weekend?
This is a marquee game, I think, in the FCS this week. I really do. And not just because you've got 2 teams here that are in the top 20 in a non-conference showdown, but I think you've got 2 teams here in University of the Incarnate Word and Northern Arizona University that both feel like right now they need to prove something. We had a tough loss against University of the Incarnate Word last year in San Antonio. Would like to see a little payback. And then there's that home field winning streak you talked about, Megan. They take protecting the turf in the Sky Dome really seriously under Brian Wright. I'm going with the Lumberjacks, but I'm not saying that it's not going to be a tough game.
Well, Mitch, like you said, it should be a very good one, another top 25 matchup. Thank you so much for being here and enjoy that game on Saturday. Will the Big Sky get another top 25 win? Can the Jacks extend their home win streak to 9? We'll get those answers and more on Saturday. Thanks for joining me for another episode of This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson. I'll see you all next week.